needs help, guys.
Yes.
It's a disaster over there. Help Haiti. I don't know if that is a hashtag going around, but we should start it.
We should definitely
Help
start that.
Haiti, please, somebody. Haiti's interim government has already asked the United States and the United Nations to deploy troops to protect infrastructure. I don't know if either the UN or the US or France or anybody's going to come in there. If you go in there with troops to try to be the policeman, whatever country does it is looking for trouble. They're going to end up being the bad guys. You deflect, unfortunately, from who the real bad guys are. Because ultimately, somebody's going to want to go attack, the troops who are there to police, to destabilize the country even more. The troops will have to fire back. They are not trained policemen to begin with. They don't know necessarily the culture of the streets of Port-au-Prince, Haiti. And next thing you know, everybody will say, occupying force, occupying force. So I think that would be a really bad idea. As bad as it is in Haiti right now, I think sending troops in makes it worse.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
No, I agree. I definitely agree.
Now
I actually have family in Haiti.
And what do you think? What do you think?
I don't completely disagree with there being assistance
You
brought
think
in.
you think they should bring it in?
I feel that it could help. I don't think that it'll be as much of a disservice as we think it'll be a service when, even before this occurrence happening, they've needed help there. This has just been an event that's really, really raised, how terribly the people are feeling against their government and how little protection someone like the president there has. So, in my opinion, I don't think it would be something that would really make things worse.
In thought process, of course, you want people to come in to make order. And you want people to come in to, keep it safer. So from that perspective, if you're able to bring troops in and you say, somehow these troops are going to keep order, these troops are going to police the streets, these troops are going to be fair. Military, unfortunately, they're trained to kill. I'm just, being frank. So yes, I agree they need help. But sending in the military, I think, is not the right help. I don't know what the right help is. I'm not an expert. I'm just concerned that...
That's the real thing to say. It's like, we don't know what could be the help. But
I hear what you're saying, because they're desperate for help. But, put yourself in the shoes of somebody in the American military. You go to Haiti, they say, go sit in front of this Parliament building. Protect the Parliament building. Somebody is going to come and try to attack the U.S. military, especially people who want to destabilize Haiti even more. Okay? Then, military has to fight back. They're not going to get shot at and not shoot back. Next thing you know, the U.S. military is shooting at unarmed Haitians. Or killing unarmed Haitians because the guy sitting in the U.S. military is scared that they're all being attacked. Next thing you know, now it's the U.S. Army's the bad guy. That's what would happen.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's my concern. Now, on Saturday, a senior Biden administration official said the U.S. has no plans to provide military assistance. They said the administration sent senior FBI and Department of Homeland Security officials to Port-au-Prince, although, Vanessa, you're right, they need help. I don't know if anybody has the answer. Now, on Friday, a group of lawmakers announced they'd recognized Joseph Lambert, the head of Haiti's dismantled Senate, as a provisional president. They also recognized as Prime Minister Ariel Henry, whom Moïse had selected to replace Joseph. Meanwhile, among those arrested for the assassination are 2 Haitian Americans, including one who worked alongside Sean Penn following the nation's devastating 2010 earthquake. Police have also detained or killed more than a dozen former members of Colombia's military. It's just a huge mystery. What is Colombia's military doing there? Some of the suspects were seized in a raid on Taiwan's embassy. The attack at Moïse's home before dawn Wednesday also seriously wounded his wife. Obviously, the people who were protecting him had to have been in on it. Because how did you get through all of that security and nobody who was protecting him got hurt? Isn't that odd?
Right.
I don't think it's a coincidence.
That's certainly not a coincidence. Colombian government is saying that the men from Colombia who were recruited by 4 different companies and traveled to Haiti via the Dominican Republic. Now, Colombia is known for mercenaries. Why? Because there's a lot of men who join the military in Colombia, and after they get out of the military, they don't have a job, unfortunately, because it's Colombia. So many of them have to figure out how to make a living. So they end up making a living the only way they know how, to continue to be some sort of private militant, whether it's being a militant in the country of Colombia or being a paid mercenary. There's reports that the United Arab Emirates, for example, hired Colombians to fight in a proxy war in Yemen. There's Colombians fighting in Yemen. So they're Colombians who leave the military, many of them are fighting all over the world as paid mercenaries. So it's not completely unheard of why Colombians are in Haiti. Who hired them? Why? How? Because? When? Nobody knows yet. Now, they say there is a doctor who is an American Haitian doctor who they have also arrested in Haiti. They said he's the man behind the plot, but ultimately, my opinion is nobody knows what the heck's going on yet. It's still to be determined. TBD.
Yep.
But yes, it's terrible what's going on there. You have relatives both in Haiti and the DR.
Yeah.
Are they
my sister's
Dominican or
actually-
they're Haitian?
No, my sister's Dominican, and she's an architect, and the majority of her construction she builds in Haiti, in Port-au-Prince. So the majority of her business is built.
This is your sister.
Mm-hmm.
And is she staying in Port-au-Prince? Is she scared? What's going on there? What is she reporting?
She was stuck in Port-au-Prince for the first 3 days, and then I haven't spoken to her recently, actually, to know what happened after that. But she was safe for the most part.
Hundreds of Haitians are gathered outside the U.S. Embassy in Port-au-Prince Friday, pleading to get out. 36-year-old Thermidor Joam said, "This country has nothing to offer. If the president can be killed with his own security, I have no protection whatsoever if somebody wants to kill me."
Absolutely. What would you say, like, the best action they should take, like any Haitians that are out there right now that would want to come out here, like filing for asylum?
You can't get out of Haiti. If you're going to risk your life, you would have to literally risk your life. And of course, you're risking your life staying in Haiti. So,
Right.
you know, I'm not telling
And you
anybody.
said it would be like a political asylum?
Yeah, you would have to reach American border, whether by boat, through Mexico, through Canada. You got to be able to reach the American border to apply for asylum. The U.S. Embassy is
Gotcha.
not going to give refugee status to anybody camped outside of the U.S. Embassy. So, for example,
So all these people that
right,
are in
they're
front,
out there. They're not going to do
it's
anything.
They can't.
Thermidor Joam, who said this country has nothing to offer, who's camped outside the U.S. Embassy. The embassy's not going to open right now.
Right.
And they're not going to give refugees. If they do, it's going to be to a very, very small. The only way is to make it to the border, but then you're risking your life
I was
coming
about
to
to
the
say,
border.
yeah, that's gonna
You're literally
be a
risking
lot.
your life.
Yeah.
You're going to be in a little raft, a boat. I mean, how many times do we hear boats capsizing with, refugees on it?
Right.
Meanwhile, here in the United States, 4 people were arrested Friday at the Maven Hotel in Denver, Colorado. What's interesting about their arrest is that they had a cache of guns,
Oh my God.
ammo,
Look at them.
and these are high-powered
Machine type?
guns, hundreds
Oh,
of rounds,
gosh.
thousands of rounds per minute, per second, however it works. But like serious guns. Weapons. Okay? And what is interesting about this arrest is that this hotel is blocks away from Coors Field, where Major League Baseball tonight is planning on having
Wow.
their marquee game, other than the World Series. The All-Star Game, which is tonight, is the marquee event of Major League Baseball in the United States of America. Now, the individuals who were identified as Richard Platt, Gabriel Rodriguez, Ricardo Rodriguez, and Kina Lua Sarakawa, if I pronounce her name right, they claim they were just making a purchase. They were not going to do any terrorist activities at Coors Field. It's just really coincidental,
Come on,
or
man.
maybe not. We don't know that all of these transactions and these guns and ammo were all being held at a hotel just blocks away from Coors Field the night before the All-Star Game.
Could you imagine?
And it was a hotel housekeeper who found it.
Wow.
Yes, the hotel housekeeper saved the day.
Wow.
It was 2 nights before, not 1 night before. 2 nights
before.
before. Meanwhile, another alert member of a cleaning crew at a lakefront W Chicago hotel may also have prevented a mass shooting on the 4th of July. Last Sunday, an employee of W Chicago Lakeshore Hotel reported to police seeing a semi-automatic rifle with a high-powered scope and laser left in a very suspicious position on the 12th floor guest room overlooking Ohio Street Beach, which was crowded with spectators who had come to watch the Independence Day fireworks at the Navy Pier. Now, you may remember the Las Vegas shooter also had a semi-automatic, was high up in a hotel room, and started picking people off at a concert right below at the Mandalay Bay. Now, Chicago Police Superintendent David Brown told reporters at a press briefing that the incident was obviously very concerning, considering the position of the W Hotel to the Navy Pier, where there would have been thousands or perhaps even tens of thousands of people there to watch the 4th of July fireworks. Now, because the gun was not used and it was just an illegal gun, the gentleman who was arrested, Keegan Castile of Ankeny, Iowa, faces 2 felony counts of weapon charges, but not any. This is a disaster today for me here with my equipment. But does not face any more serious offense than illegal possession of a weapon in Chicago because he did not use it. As a result,
the fact that it was in like a suspicious position,
suspicious position is not a serious offense. It's just a illegal possession of a gun, and Chicago had to release him.
What?
Yes, even though he's being charged as a felony, they couldn't hold him.
Oh, Lord.
The FBI will be watching him. He claims he was doing nothing wrong. He was just hanging out at the 12th floor of the W Hotel with his semi-automatic weapon. And he was legal to purchase in Iowa. It's a problem we have. It's the problem we have here in America. Meanwhile, a surge in gun violence across New York City has led Governor Cuomo to declare a state of emergency. In New York State. He has his finger up.
Right.
State of emergency. So what does our governor do? Let's put together a blue ribbon panel and discuss it more. Why not? Let's have more discussions about it. Because we don't know enough about what the problem is.
We do now.
We know exactly what the problem is. But at least somebody's recognizing we have a state of emergency.
Right.
Whether or not anybody actually does something about it, we don't know. Now, Cuomo said more people died from shootings in New York over the July 4th weekend than COVID.
Wow.
There were 51 shooting deaths compared to 13 COVID deaths. And nationally, over the July 4th weekend, 233 people were killed and 618 people were injured by a gun in more than 500 shootings. In New York City alone, shootings are up 38%. Nationally, homicides are up 18%. And Cuomo displayed maps that showed only small parts of cities in New York where most of the homicides are. He cited state statistics that showed about 4,000 youth aged 18 to 24 accounted for 50% of the shootings. That's an interesting statistic.
Yeah.
50% of all shootings in New York were by youths between 18 and 24.
Kind of makes sense. Makes sense to me.
And a new survey from New York State says that 73% of residents in the state of New York are worried about gun violence on a daily basis. The highest percentage among all 50 states. That means almost 3 out of 4 people who live in the state of New York are worried at least once per day about gun violence. The survey also found 18% have personally experienced gun violence, which is the second highest nationwide. That means 1 out of 5 residents in New York have experienced gun violence. Do you wake up, Yo-Yo, worried about gun violence in New York?
I don't. But if I'm in a neighborhood that I don't know, looks real sketch, and then,
What makes a neighborhood look sketch to you?
For me, because, I'm from LA and I know certain neighborhoods, like, I can kind of maneuver. Like if someone else that's not from the hood that I'm from comes to my hood, they would be nervous. So the fact that it's just a neighborhood that I don't know.
Not a familiar neighborhood.
Yeah, because if you don't know the people, they don't know you. You know,
right? Because the reality is you could get shot anywhere. I mean, we saw at Times Square.
Yeah.
There was a shooting of tourists.
Yeah.
There was a shooting I remember a few months ago right in front of the Empire State Building. You would think that would be safe.
Yeah.
Okay. You just never know. You never know. It's just your mind saying this looks scary to me, but
So I'm not. I don't actually think about like those type of random shootings.
Right.
But if I'm like in a neighborhood that I'm like. I don't know if I should be here by myself or without somebody that knows this neighborhood. Those are the type I actually think about more.
What do you think, Vanessa? Does gun violence make you nervous when you get up in the morning, or you just live your life and don't think about it?
It's made me more nervous living in Florida because it's so much more accessible here. So, I mean, it's a conversation that was never, ever a conversation in my home up north, but it's more of a conversation down here now. Or I went into a T-Mobile store yesterday and like right outside the door, they have like the no armed weapons allowed, like in this space, like something as simple as a cell phone store. Like I've never really been around, been in a space where it really is something where people just have it on them all the time, unless it was in the Dominican Republic. So it happening here and knowing that there's people that are armed even at like a Publix or a supermarket or whatever, it raises more awareness. And it's, so when we've been talking about it more on the show recently, because it's just really getting out of hand all throughout the nation, it's like, okay, now I really, I'm paying attention to this topic.
Now, I'm going to give you a couple of quick statistics that I just find interesting.
Okay.
Nationwide, 7 out of 10 people, 70% of people in the United States nationwide believe crime is on the rise, despite crime rates decreasing consistently for the last 20 years. So even though crime rates have gone down, 70% of people think it's going up, which is your emotional mind overtaking what you see logically.
Right.
And that could possibly be from the news cycles and everything else.
Right.
Now,
I think that's fair. I agree with that. I might be a part of that percentage.
Yes. Now, gun violence is the most top of mind violent crime on everybody's mind. 5 out of 10 people are concerned about gun violence nationwide every day. We said 7 out of 10 in New York, but nationwide, 50%. 4 in 10 worry about police violence against them every day.
Now that I do.
Okay.
I probably think about more police violence.
So you have a situation which is quite interesting here in the United States, where 50% of Americans wake up every day saying, I could be the victim of a crime, of a serious assault, a serious offense against my body. Yet the people who we stick out into the field to protect us from those serious crimes, 40% of Americans think they're going to be a victim of a crime by the people who are there to protect us.
Yeah.
Which means everybody's walking around terrified.
Yeah.
Everybody. You don't know who. Everybody's terrified. I'm terrified of walking down the street. Somebody looks at me the wrong way, and I'm terrified of walking down the street and a cop looks at me. Mm-hmm. Everybody's terrified of everybody.
Like 110% worried.
That is right.
Is what I'm getting from that. 110% worried, because it could really come from anywhere. Even earlier in the show, where it's like the age range is 18 to 24 in the state of New York. Like, what?
I don't even know what to.
No one's safe.
I don't even know what to make of those statistics. 50% of Americans think they're going to be the victims of a violent crime against them, yet 40% say the police who are there to protect us are also going to commit a violent crime against me.
Yeah, and then there's
Something
a
is
fair
wrong.
chance that there'll be violence against me just because of how I look.
Yeah,
and that's not even color. That's
right.
Hardly anything.
That's right. And but it's everybody, because it's violence because of skin color. It's violence because of religion. I'll be honest with you, not that I ever wear jewelry, ever in my life. But as a Jewish man, I wouldn't walk around the streets with a big Jewish star on,
Right.
on my, oh, look at, and go get him. I'm like, nobody needs to know what I am.
All flashy and
Yeah.
sort of,
Right, yeah. So I wouldn't do it, but, everybody, is different. You Yo-Yo, the difference is you Yo-Yo and you Vanessa, your skin's your skin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can't camouflage
No.
like me.
Yes.
That's the
Unfortunately.
difference.
Yes.
That's the only difference. Meanwhile, here's an interesting way around gun violence. I thought this was pretty interesting. A Northern California city passed a law requiring gun owners to carry liability insurance, similar to carrying insurance for an automobile. So if you have a gun license, you have to have insurance with it. So God forbid somebody gets hurt as a result of your gun going off, there's insurance to cover the medical costs, the pain and suffering, similar to auto insurance. The law passed on June 29th. It's the first of its kind. A preliminary report released ahead of the vote estimates that the cost of gun violence to taxpayers is in 2013 to 2019 is $442 million. And it translates to $63 million annually just in this area. On May 26th, a 57-year-old worker, this is the San Francisco, Northern California area, a 57-year-old worker at the Santa Clara Valley Transportation Authority light rail yard fatally shot 9 co-workers before taking his life. A year earlier, a shooting at the Gilroy Garlic Festival in the same county left 3 people dead. Now, California state lawmakers will grant the VTA $20 million to provide mental health resources and improve safety features in light of the May shooting. Remember Charlottesville? There were some fine people on both sides. You don't remember that?
No.
Charlottesville.
Yeah, Charlottesville. That's where the Ku Klux Klan and the Nazis came to march.
Yes.
And they were in Charlottesville, Virginia, and that was where they had a big, Ku Klux Klan march right when Donald Trump first started, and he said there's fine people on both sides.
Oh, yes.
Well,
yes.
finally, years later, it's about 3-4 years later, at least Charlottesville, the local government, is taking sides on the fine people on either side because they have voted finally to remove the monument of Robert E. Lee, the general of the Confederacy, as well as Thomas Stonewall Jackson, who was also another famous general for the Confederate Army. Both of these men were displayed prominently in Charlottesville, Virginia. They went to war against the United States to maintain slavery, keep the status quo. Black people should be owned by people. And we memorialized them by statute for 150 years up until today.
It's wild that we have so many statues.
Isn't that
up there
crazy?
of different people like this.
Yeah. Now it was
I didn't know better at the time.
Yeah. Now, bystanders watched while waiting for trucks to remove these statues. They were greeted with cheers and expressions of relief. Bystanders then moved to nearby Court Square Park to see city workers remove the statue of Thomas Stonewall Jackson as well. It was a far satisfying morning for activists who confronted far-right protesters, as we said 4 years ago. Charlottesville Mayor Nikuya Walker, I hope I pronounced the name correctly, said taking down this statue is one small step closer to the goal of helping Charlottesville, Virginia, and America grapple with the sin of being willing to destroy black people for economic gain.
Ooh, I know there's a lot of mad people out in Virginia now.
I don't know if there's mad people out of Virginia.
I do. Virginia?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Virginia is, when I used to live in the DMV, Virginia was the place that you did not want to get stopped by a cop because they were racist. People there are racist.
But it's funny. But
my experience.
Virginia. By the way, I'm not.
It.
Listen, it could be racist in the Democratic Party
scary.
too. But Virginia's been voting Democrat lately. but there could be racist in the.
It's a scary type of.
Yeah. Well, you know what I would say, Jonathan, that's emotion over.
Oh yeah.
Over logic. Mm-hmm. You know, because we talk about that. Right. You know, that's emotion over logic because I think there's racists everywhere. I don't want to call out Virginia.
There's different type of racists as well.
All right, there was lots of people in Charlottesville yesterday. There was lots of people in Charlottesville yesterday who were cheering on the removal of the statue.
But you see that picture that you just saw of these white supremacists? You ain't gonna get that in LA. Because I wish they would try it.
But that wasn't. Most of those people didn't live in Charlottesville. They came from other parts of the United States of America.
Regardless, they're not going to do that in LA. Yeah. I guarantee you that.
All right. Meanwhile, let's get to coronavirus. According to our friends at the Johns Hopkins University, over the past 7 days in the United States, new COVID cases increased 47%. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention report that hospitalizations are rising again. Deaths are a lagging indicator, also appear to be rising. Dr. Fauci, the nation's top infectious disease expert, said Sunday that he was horrified to see the attendees at the Conservative Political Action Conference cheering that the U.S. had not reached its 70% vaccination goals. Fauci told CNN, quote, "It's horrifying. I mean, they're cheering about someone saying that it's a good thing for people not to try to save their lives." You know what's going to happen is people who are vaccinated, those are not going to be the people who are hospitalized. Those are not going to be the people who die. It is the unvaccinated people who are cheering. Those are the people that we're concerned about, and they're cheering that we shouldn't be concerned about them.
Right.
Now, more than 99% of deaths are now among people who have not been vaccinated. All right, there was one spot of good news on Friday amid the search for the dead in Surfside, Florida, at the site of the Champlain Towers. It's a cat named Binks who had lived on the 9th floor of the building. She was found alive and reunited with her family.
Wow.
How did Binks survive a 9-story fall?
Wow.
And then was able to walk around? She was found walking around the site as almost like a stray cat until somebody realized she was somebody's pet. At a news conference, Mayor Daniela Levine Cava said, "I'm glad that this small miracle could bring some light into the lives of a hurting family today and provide a bright spot for our whole community in the midst of this terrible tragedy." Now, you may remember last week we talked about there was a last-second emergency request not to take the building down. Mm-hmm. There were pets in the building, and they took the building down. Unfortunately, all those pets passed. How Binks survived? It's one amazing cat.
Yeah.
Only cat, you know. They say cats have 9 lives. I don't know how else to explain it. Unfortunately, the confirmed death toll is now at 94 people dead. Jeez. 22 people still are unaccounted for. Now, some of the heroes at the Surfside condo collapse, they're not human, they are canines. Working dogs and law enforcement. Did you see that? The animals at Surfside were divided into 2 groups. Lifeline canine work in a rescue looking for survivors, and human remains or cadaver canines working in recovery. Footage from the site of the destruction showed various breeds on the scene: greyhounds, Labrador retrievers, German shepherds. The dog handlers are members of Task Force 1 and 2 of South Florida's Urban Rescue Team. Cheryl Hazelton, a former canine deputy with Florida's Pasco County Sheriff's Office, told the Tampa Bay Times the specialized canine's job skills include endurance, focus, and ability to listen to commands. Dogs are really amazing.
Yeah, they are.
They really are.
They're working hard.
All right, a Python fans can breathe a little easier, Vanessa. I know you're a big Python lover. Right? Yeah. You love the Python. Yeah. She does, right? Right? I mean, when we were off camera, I said to Vanessa, what's your favorite animal? She goes, the Python, of course. She and all the Python fans out there could breathe a sigh of relief because the search for Cara, a 12-foot serpent on the loose from Louisiana Mall Aquarium, has ended happily. The aquarium said Thursday morning that Kara, the 12-foot python, it's a Burmese python, was found safe and healthy after a search that had closed the zoo aquarium at the Mall of Louisiana in Baton Rouge. Kara was where searchers thought she was, somewhere in a wall or a ceiling space. A video posted to the facility's Facebook page. The footage shows a worker carrying Kara out of a large hole cut high into a wall, stepping down a ladder with the help of others. The post reads, "We couldn't be more excited to share that the search is over." I think everybody's excited except Kara. I mean, if I'm a snake, I'd be like, damn it, why are all these people looking at me? Let me find a hole to hide in, right? Wouldn't you, Vanessa? Wouldn't you be like, I'm going to crawl into a hole? Hole? I said a hole. A hole. A hole. A hole.
Yeah.
I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. A hole. I wouldn't want to be like, you know, what?
I'm okay without that.
Yeah, everyone's just looking at me.
Definitely okay without that.
Everyone looking at me. Like, what do I look like? An animal in the zoo? Yes, you are an animal. You actually are an animal in the zoo.
And a scary one at that.
That's right. I'd be like, screw that. I'm finding a hole.
Yeah.
Right. I think everyone's happy but Kara. Another rescue. Harley the dog was found. Thank God Harley the dog was found. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Harley was never missing. Harley the dog was found rescued. I got to finish reading the sentence. Right. You know what they say in law school, Vanessa? You know the first thing they taught me in law school?
You gotta just keep reading.
If you don't know the answer, keep reading. Like I started too early. I thought Harley was missing. But what it is Harley the dog was found rescuing a fawn in the middle of a lake. The next morning, the fawn returned to thank Harley. So Harley the dog and Bambi the deer, they're now friends.
Yes.
It was near dusk on June 2nd, and Ralph Dorn of Culpeper, Virginia, was looking for his 6-year-old golden doodle Harley. I like golden doodles. They're cute dogs.
I love golden doodles.
Yeah. He went to the back of his property and spotted Harley in the middle of the lake, and next to him was a tiny baby deer. And he was nudging and herding the fawn back to the shoreline. The little baby deer was drowning in the lake. And Dorn said, not sure how far the fawn got out there, but Harley obviously didn't ask why. He just jumped into action, and they paddled side by side together until they got home safely. Then Harley helped the fawn up a rocky ledge before they got to the flat grassy area. And then Dorn said Harley didn't want to leave the fawn. He just kept interacting with it, licking it, and caring for it. Ralph spotted the mother deer at the tree line looking at them, so he pried Harley away from his new friend that he estimates was only a few days old and brought him back into the house.
Aww.
So Harley saved the little baby deer.
That's so
That's
sweet.
Cute.
That's cute. Real fuzzy.
Yeah, that is very fuzzy. The next day, that's as fuzzy as it gets.
Yeah.
Fuzzy, exactly. That's as fuzzy as it gets.
Yeah, the next day, the little fuzzy little Bambi came back to thank Harley.
That's so sweet.
That's like a movie, fuzzy movie now, right?
It is.
Look at that. The little Bambi came back. Now, Ralph wrote on a Facebook post that ultimately went viral. Harley got restless running from window to window. I opened the front door and we can hear the fawn bleeding. Harley ran into the tree line and found the baby deer when she returned the next day.
Aww. I love it.
Well, George Bailey, the Sulcata tortoise, has something to quote. Get this one, Vanessa. Shell-ebrate.
What we got?
The tortoise is going to shell-ebrate. You get it? Shell-ebrate?
Oh, I get it.
Yes, the tortoise has a custom wheelchair. The 11-year-old tortoise received the custom wheelchair from Walking Pets, a pet mobility company based in New Hampshire, and is now walking on all four legs for the first time in his life.
Aww.
Before getting his new wheels, George Bailey was rescued by Jamie Lobiner from an exotic animal facility in Knoxville, Tennessee. That's sad, because then you're in like this, they were an abused animal. Born with a metabolic bone disease that prevented his back legs from fully developing, the tortoise had spent his whole life dragging himself around. He used his front legs to pull his way around slowly and clumsily. The bigger he's gotten, the more difficult it's been for him. He currently weighs 70 pounds, but may grow to 200. Yeah, I can imagine 70 pounds is hard to go crawl around on two legs. It just gives me the willies thinking about it.
Yeah.
So this is actually really nice.
We're celebrating.
Yeah, the Walking Pets was happy to take on the challenge and eventually create an adjustable wheelchair large enough and sturdy enough to get George Bailey walking comfortably. That's nice. A large dog of Manhattan ran from the Upper West Side, ran through the Midtown Tunnel, all the way to Long Island City. Now, Yo-Yo and Vanessa, you're New Yorkers. You know how far that is. That's miles and miles through a busy tunnel. Before she was found hiding out in a warehouse with a pack of cats.
What?
Yes, Heather Angus, a nurse anesthesiologist who lives on the Upper West Side, told the New York Post her dog Indy was found, and it's a miracle. She was a rescue pup, actually, Indy, and she was saved from the streets of Calcutta, India, 3 months ago, and has been living with Angus, the nurse, since. But last Tuesday evening, Indy decided to go for a stroll through New York City, never to be found again, through the Upper West Side, across Midtown,
Sheesh.
across to the East Side, sat in traffic in the Midtown Tunnel, made it through the Midtown Tunnel to Long Island City, and 1 week later was found by surveillance video. Now we know that that Indy did this trip because the MTA has video of her walking through or running through the Midtown Tunnel.
It's lucky that they didn't get hit.
Yes. Now the only reason that this dog was found is because Angus has flooded the neighborhood with flyers, and on Tuesday, a warehouse worker called the rescue group helping Angus and said they found Indy the dog. She spent about a week inside the 30th Place warehouse, which was inhabited by a family of cats, and their food and water, which is how Angus survived.
Aww.
Thanks for watching. For more Brad Show Live, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.